Try this right now. Describe the room around you in English. Easy until one simple word disappears. You can see the object. You know exactly what it is. You may have heard the word hundreds of times, but the moment you try to say it, your mind goes completely blank. Then you panic, translate, restart the sentence, and lose the conversation. Here is what most learners do not realize. This is not mainly a vocabulary problem. You may already know enough words. The real problem is that your brain cannot retrieve them quickly while you are speaking. In this class, you will learn how to find the right English words faster, stop freezing in the middle of sentences, and keep talking even when a word refuses to appear. And once you understand the hidden reason your vocabulary becomes unavailable under pressure, you will never practice speaking the same way again. Chapter 1. Why your mind goes blank. Before you can solve the problem, you need to understand what is really happening. When you go blank in English, it often feels as if you have forgotten everything. But in most cases, the word is still inside your memory. The real problem is that you cannot reach it quickly enough. Imagine that your vocabulary is stored inside a large library. Thousands of words are sitting on different shelves. When you are relaxed, you can walk through the library slowly and find the book you need. But during a real conversation, you do not have much time. Someone is looking at you. They are waiting for your answer. You feel pressure to speak correctly. Suddenly, the lights inside the library seem to turn off. The word has not disappeared. You simply cannot find the correct shelf. There are several reasons this happens. The first reason is that you may know a word only passively. Passive vocabulary means words you understand when you read or hear them. Active vocabulary means words you can produce when you speak or write. For example, you may understand the word appointment when you hear this sentence. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. But when you need to say the same idea, you may suddenly forget the word. You might say, I have a meeting with the doctor. This shows that appointment is in your passive memory, but it is not yet strong in your active memory. The second reason is translation. Suppose someone asks, what did you do yesterday? Answering directly, you first create the sentence in your first language. Then you try to translate every part into English. If one word does not translate easily, the whole process stops. Your mind may think, yesterday I went to, then you search for a direct translation of a specific place, activity, or feeling. While you are searching, you become aware of the silence. You feel uncomfortable. Your body becomes tense. Now your brain must manage translation, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and nervousness at the same time. That is too much work for one simple answer. The third reason is perfectionism. Many learners do not only search for a word, they search for the perfect word. Someone asks, how was your trip? You want to say that the trip was pleasant, peaceful, interesting, relaxing, and memorable. Instead of choosing one simple word, you begin comparing several words inside your mind. Was it enjoyable? Was it wonderful? Was it refreshing? Was it unforgettable? While you are deciding, you say nothing. A simple answer such as, it was really good, would keep the conversation moving. You could add more detail later, but because you want the strongest or most accurate word immediately, your mind freezes. The fourth reason is fear of judgment. You may be afraid that the other person will notice your mistake. You may imagine them thinking that your English is weak. This fear makes you watch yourself too closely. Focusing on your message, you begin monitoring every word. Is this tense correct? Does this word sound natural? Did I pronounce that correctly? Should I use make or do? This constant self-checking interrupts your natural speaking process. Think about how you speak in your first language. You do not inspect every sentence before saying it. You focus on the person, the situation, and the meaning. Your words come because your attention is outside yourself. In English, your attention often turns inward. You listen to yourself like a strict examiner. That makes speaking slower and more difficult. The fifth reason is that you learned words without connections. You memorized long vocabulary lists. Accurate means correct. Purchase means buy. Exhausted means very tired. Improve means become better. You may remember these words during a test, but real conversations do not appear as vocabulary tests. People speak about situations, experiences, plans, problems, and feelings. If you learned exhausted only as a translation, Your brain may not find it when you are describing a long day, but if you learned it through several real connections, the word becomes easier to retrieve. I was exhausted after work. The journey left us exhausted. I feel mentally exhausted. I was too exhausted to cook. Now the word has many roads leading to it. That is an important idea. Fast speaking does not come from knowing more words alone. It comes from building stronger roads to the words you already know. Let us test this. I will give you a simple situation. Try to respond immediately. You arrived late because there was heavy traffic. What would you say? You might say, "Sorry I'm late, the traffic was terrible." You do not need a complex sentence. You do not need the word congestion. You only need a clear message. Now try another situation. You watched a film, but you did not enjoy it because the story was difficult to follow. You might say, "I didn't really enjoy it. The story was confusing." Again, the goal is not to find the most advanced word. The goal is to communicate clearly. From this moment, stop measuring your English only by the number of words you know. Begin measuring it by how easily you can use simple words in real situations. When your mind goes blank, remind yourself, the word is probably still there. I need a faster road to reach it. In the next chapter, we will begin building those roads by changing the way you learn vocabulary. Chapter 2. Stop learning words alone. Many learners collect English words like separate objects. They write one word, one translation, and perhaps one example sentence. Then they move to the next word. This may help you recognize vocabulary, but it does not always help you speak. Words become easier to remember when they belong to a group. Your brain understands meaning through connections. It remembers what a word is related to, when it is used, what usually comes before it, and what usually comes after it. Instead of learning one lonely word, you need to create a small network around it. Let us take the word decision. A traditional vocabulary note may look like this: decision, a choice you make after thinking. That definition is correct, but it is not enough for speaking. A stronger vocabulary network would include: make a decision, a difficult decision, the right decision, change your decision, I haven't made a decision yet. It was the best decision I ever made. Now the word is connected to verbs, adjectives, and complete sentences. When a conversation about choices begins, your brain has several ways to find it. You should build vocabulary in 4 directions. The first direction is the topic. Place the word inside a clear topic or situation. For example, imagine you are learning the word refund. The topic may be shopping. Related words could include receipt, return, exchange, damaged, customer service, money back. Now refund is not floating alone. It belongs to a shopping situation. You could create a short scene. I bought a jacket, but the zipper was broken. I took it back to the shop and asked for a refund. This scene gives your brain a reason to use the word. The second direction is word partners. Some English words often appear together. These natural partnerships are called collocations, but you do not need to remember the technical name. Just think of them as words that like to stay together. For example, English speakers usually say, make progress. They do not usually say, make progress. They say, strong coffee. They do not usually say, powerful coffee. They say, catch a bus. They do not normally say, take a hold of a bus. When you learn these partnerships, you do not need to build every sentence one word at a time. You can retrieve a ready-made combination. Take the word advice. Learn it with natural partners. Give advice. Ask for advice. Take someone's advice. Useful advice. A piece of advice. I need some advice. When you need the word in conversation, one of these patterns may appear automatically. The third direction is personal experience. A word becomes much easier to remember when it is connected to your own life. Suppose you are learning the word delay. Do not only write, delay means something happens later than expected. Create personal sentences. My flight was delayed last year. I hate long delays at the airport. The rain caused a delay. I sent the work late because of an unexpected delay. Your brain remembers meaningful experiences more easily than random textbook sentences. The fourth direction is contrast. Learn what a word is not. For example, generous is the opposite of selfish. Temporary is the opposite of permanent. Accept is different from refuse. Borrow is different from lend. Contrasts make the meaning clearer and give your brain another path to the word. Let us build a complete word network together. Our word is reliable. First, the simple meaning. A reliable person or thing can be trusted. Now the topic. Work, friendship, transport, information, and technology. Now common partners. A reliable employee, a reliable friend, a reliable source, a reliable car, very reliable, completely reliable. Now personal examples. My brother is reliable. If he promises to help, he always comes. I need a reliable internet connection for my work. This old car is not beautiful, but it is reliable. Now contrast, reliable versus unreliable. Now a question. Who is the most reliable person you know? Now the word is not just a definition. It has meaning, context, emotion, and use. This is how you should study vocabulary for speaking. You can use a simple 5-box method in your notebook. Box 1. The word or phrase. Box 2. The situation where it is used. Box 3. Common word partners. Box 4. One personal example. Box 5. One question you could answer with it. For example, word, disappointed. Situation, when something is not as good as you expected. Partners, deeply disappointed. Feel disappointed. Disappointed with. Disappointed about. Personal example, I was disappointed with the ending of the book. Question, when was the last time you felt disappointed? Then speak your answer aloud. This last step is essential. Writing vocabulary can make the word familiar. Speaking it makes the word available. Your mouth needs experience producing the word. Your ears need experience hearing your own voice use it. Your brain needs to connect the word with a real message. After learning a new word, use it in 3 spoken sentences. The first sentence should be about the present. I am satisfied with my progress. The second should be about the past. I was satisfied with the service. The third should be about a possible future situation. I will be satisfied if I finish this project on time. This simple exercise helps the word move from passive memory into active memory. You can also create a vocabulary family. Let us use the root word success, success, successful, successfully, succeed. Then create simple examples. The event was a success. She is a successful business owner. They completed the project successfully. I hope you succeed. You do not need to learn every possible form at once, but learning 2 or 3 useful forms helps you express the same idea in different sentence structures. Another helpful technique is to organize vocabulary by purpose, not only by topic. For example, create groups for giving an opinion, agreeing politely, disagreeing politely, describing a problem, asking for clarification, explaining a reason, telling a story, comparing 2 things, expressing uncertainty, ending a conversation. Under expressing uncertainty, you might collect, I'm not completely sure. As far as I know, I may be wrong, but it seems to me that I haven't decided yet. These phrases are more useful in conversation than 10 unrelated advanced words. You should also learn vocabulary at the level you can actually use. Many learners ignore simple words because they seem too basic. They search for advanced alternatives. Instead of saying help, they want to say facilitate. Instead of use, they want to say utilize. Instead of show, they want to say demonstrate. Advanced words are useful in the correct situation, but simple words are the foundation of fluent speech. Native speakers use common words constantly because they are clear, flexible, and easy to retrieve. A person who can use 2,000 common words quickly may communicate better than someone who knows 10,000 words but cannot access them during a conversation. Your goal is not to fill your memory with impressive vocabulary. Your goal is to build an organized system. Tonight, choose 5 words that you already understand but rarely use. Do not choose completely new words. Choose words that are waiting inside your passive vocabulary. For each word, create 1 topic, 3 natural word partners, 2 personal sentences, 1 contrast, 1 spoken answer. Practice those 5 words for several days. Use them in different sentences. Notice how they begin to appear more quickly. In the next chapter, we will work on something equally important, How to keep speaking while your brain is still searching for the next word. Chapter 3. Use bridge phrases to keep the conversation moving. Fluent speakers do not always know exactly what they want to say before they begin. They often start speaking while their thoughts are still forming. They use small phrases to connect one idea to another, create thinking time, and keep the conversation natural. These phrases are like bridges. They carry you across the moment of silence while your brain prepares the next part of the message. Without bridge phrases, a learner may speak like this. My opinion is, I think, the problem, I don't know the word. The silence becomes uncomfortable because there is no language holding the conversation together. With bridge phrases, the same learner can say, that's an interesting question. I haven't thought about it before, but I would probably say the main problem is the cost. The speaker still needed time, but the answer sounded controlled. Let us look at several kinds of bridge phrases. The first kind helps you begin an answer. When someone asks a question, you do not always need to respond with the main point immediately. You can begin with, that's a good question. I've never really thought about that. Let me think for a moment. There are a few ways to answer that. My first thought is, I would probably say, these phrases give your mind a few extra seconds without creating an empty silence. Imagine someone asks, what is the best way to learn a language? You could begin, there are many ways to answer that, but I would probably say regular practice is the most important part. During the opening phrase, your brain has time to choose the main idea. The second kind helps you organize your answer. Sometimes you know several things, but they all arrive in your mind at the same time. You need a clear order. Use phrases such as, the first thing is, another important point is, a good example is, the main reason is, on the other hand, in the end. These phrases act like signs on a road. They show both you and the listener where the message is going. Suppose someone asks, why do you prefer working from home? You could say, the first reason is that I save time because I don't have to travel. Another important point is that I can focus better in a quiet room. On the other hand, I sometimes miss speaking with other people. This answer is easier to produce because each bridge phrase creates a small speaking task. You are not trying to create one perfect paragraph. You are moving through the answer one part at a time. The third kind helps you add detail. You may begin with a simple sentence and then feel unsure about how to continue. Use what I mean is, in other words, to explain that a little more. For example, more specifically, the reason I say that is, suppose you say, I found the course challenging. You can continue, what I mean is, the lessons were useful, but there was a lot of new information to remember. You did not need to plan the complete explanation before speaking. The phrase, what I mean is, opened the next part of the sentence. The fourth kind helps you correct yourself. Many learners stop completely after making a mistake. They think they must restart the entire sentence. Fluent speakers often correct themselves smoothly. Use, sorry, let me say that again. That's not exactly what I mean. Let me put it another way. I should say, actually, or rather. For example, I moved here 5 years, actually, it was 6 years ago. Or, the job was difficult. That's not exactly what I mean. The work itself was manageable, but the schedule was difficult. A correction is not a failure. It is part of natural communication. The fifth kind helps when you do not understand. Going blank sometimes happens because you are still trying to understand the question. Instead of guessing, use a clarification phrase. Could you say that again? Could you speak a little more slowly? Do you mean? Could you explain what you mean by that? Are you asking about? Let me make sure I understood the question. Suppose someone asks, how did the experience change your approach to work? You are unsure about the word approach. You could say, could you explain what you mean by approach? Or, do you mean how it changed the way I work? Once the meaning is clear, your answer becomes easier. The sixth kind helps when you need to search for a word. Instead of becoming silent, explain what is happening naturally. I'm trying to remember the word. What's the word for? I can't remember the exact term for. I can't remember the exact term, but. There's a word for this, but it's not coming to me. I know what I mean, but I can't remember the English word. These phrases keep the listener involved. For example, I bought a tool for opening bottles. I'm trying to remember the word, a bottle opener. Even before you remembered the word, communication continued. However, bridge phrases should not become a new habit of hesitation. Some learners repeat the same filler again and again. You know, like, basically, actually, I mean. A few natural fillers are fine, but repeating them in every sentence can make your speech unclear. The goal is to use meaningful bridge phrases that support your message. Let us practice. I will ask a question. Begin your answer with a bridge phrase. Question 1. What kind of work would you like to do in the future? You might say, I haven't decided completely, but I would probably like to do work that allows me to be creative. Question 2. Do you think people spend too much time on their phones? You might answer, there are a few ways to look at that. In my opinion, phones are useful, but many people use them without noticing how much time is passing. Question 3. What was the most difficult part of learning English? You could say, the main difficulty for me was speaking. To explain that a little more, I understood many words, but I couldn't use them quickly in conversation. Now try an answer that includes 3 bridge phrases. Question. Would you rather live in a large city or a small town? Possible answer. I would probably choose a small town. The main reason is that I prefer quiet places. For example, I like being close to nature and avoiding heavy traffic. On the other hand, I understand that a large city offers more work and entertainment. Notice how the phrases divide the answer into manageable pieces. To train this skill, choose 10 useful bridge phrases. Do not try to memorize 50 at once. You might choose, that's a good question. I would probably say, the main reason is, for example, what I mean is, another point is, on the other hand, let me put it another way. I'm not completely sure, but, in the end, write each phrase at the beginning of a different question, then answer the questions aloud. For example, I would probably say the best time of day for me is, the main reason I enjoy this hobby is, on the other hand, one disadvantage is, after several days, the phrases will begin to appear automatically. Then, when a difficult question arrives, you will not be standing at the edge of silence. You will have a bridge to walk across. But what happens when the exact word truly does not come back? That is what we will learn next. You will discover how to continue speaking even when an important word is missing. Chapter 4. Describe the word you cannot remember. One of the most powerful speaking skills is not remembering every word. It is knowing how to communicate without the word. Even fluent speakers forget names, terms, and expressions. The difference is that they do not allow one missing word to end the conversation. They describe the idea from another direction. This skill is sometimes called speaking around the word. Imagine you forget the word umbrella. You could stop and say, I don't know the word. Or you could continue, it's the thing you carry when it rains. You open it above your head. The listener will probably say, an umbrella? Now the conversation continues, and you may remember the word more strongly next time. To describe a missing word, use 5 kinds of information. The first is function. Explain what the thing does. It's something you use to. It helps you. You use it when. It is used for. For example, if you forget charger, say, it's the thing you use to put power back into your phone. If you forget thermometer, say, it's a tool you use to check your temperature. If you forget receipt, say, it's the paper the shop gives you after you pay. The second kind is appearance. Explain what the thing looks like. It is usually round. It has a long handle. It is made of. It looks similar to. It is small enough to. For example, if you forget ladder, say, it has 2 long sides with steps between them. You use it to climb to a higher place. If you forget helmet, say, it is a hard object that you wear on your head for protection. The third kind is location. Explain where you usually see or use the thing. You normally find it in, it is common in, you might see it near, people usually keep it. If you forget shelf, say, it is the flat part on a wall or inside a cupboard where you put books or other things. If you forget platform, say, it is the area at a train station where people wait for the train. The fourth kind is category. Say what general group the word belongs to. It is a type of, it is a kind of, it is similar to, it belongs to. For example, if you forget cucumber, say, it is a long green vegetable that people often put in salads. If you forget sandal, say, it is a type of open shoe people often wear in warm weather. The fifth kind is contrast. Explain what it is not, or compare it with something similar. It is like a, but, it is the opposite of, it is similar to, except. For example, if you forget balcony, say, it is like a small outdoor area connected to an apartment, but it is above the ground. If you forget borrow, say, it means you take something from another person for a short time and give it back later. It is the opposite direction from lend. You can combine these methods. Imagine you forget stapler. You could say, it is a small office tool. You put papers inside it and press down. It joins the papers with a small piece of metal. That description includes category, location, function, and appearance. Now let us move beyond physical objects. You can also describe actions. Suppose you forget the verb whisper. You could say, it means speaking very quietly, so only someone close to you can hear. If you forget postpone, say, it means deciding to do something later instead of at the original time. If you forget hesitate, say, it is when you pause because you are not sure what to do or say. You can describe emotions too. If you forget embarrassed, say, it is the uncomfortable feeling you get when you make a mistake in front of other people. If you forget relieved, say, it is the feeling you have when a problem ends or something you were worried about turns out well. If you forget jealous, say, it is the unhappy feeling you may have when someone has something you want. The ability to explain ideas with simple language is more valuable than knowing one advanced word. Consider this sentence. The instructions were ambiguous. Perhaps you forget the word ambiguous. You can say, the instructions were not clear. They could be understood in two different ways. The second version may actually communicate the meaning more clearly. This is why you should not feel ashamed when you need to describe a word. Description is not a weak replacement for vocabulary. It is a real communication skill. Let us practice with a game. I will give you a word. Imagine you cannot say it. Describe it without using the word itself. The first word is elevator. You might say, it is a small moving room inside a building. It carries people from one floor to another. The second word is neighbor. You could say, it is a person who lives close to your home. The third word is deadline. You might say, it is the final time or date when you must finish something. The fourth word is interrupt. You could say, it means speaking or doing something before another person has finished. The fifth word is patient. Be careful, because this word has more than one meaning. For the adjective, you might say, it describes someone who can wait calmly without becoming angry. For the noun, you might say, it is a person who receives medical care. This exercise trains flexible thinking. It teaches your brain that one meaning can travel through many different sentences. Here is another useful practice. Choose one object near you and describe it for 30 seconds without saying its name. Perhaps you choose a key. You could say, this is a small metal object. I carry it in my pocket. I use it when I want to enter my house. I put it into a lock and turn it. Without it, I may not be able to open the door. Then choose a more difficult object, such as a remote control, a zipper, or a light switch. After physical objects, practice abstract ideas. Describe freedom without using the word. It is the ability to make your own choices and live without unfair control. Describe responsibility. It is something you are expected to do or take care of. Describe trust. It is the belief that another person will be honest, reliable, or safe. You can also practice with jobs. Describe a dentist. This person examines and treats problems with your teeth. Describe an architect. This person plans and designs buildings. Describe a journalist. This person collects information and reports news to the public. During a real conversation, keep your description simple. Do not create a long speech when 2 clear sentences are enough. You can use this pattern. It's a kind of. You use it for. It looks like. You find it. It means. For example, what is the English word for the machine that cleans dishes? You usually find it in a kitchen. You put dirty plates and cups inside it. The answer is dishwasher. The conversation has become a learning moment instead of an embarrassing silence. You should also learn to ask for the word naturally. What do you call the thing that? What's the word for a person who? How do you say the place where? I can't remember the word, but it means. These questions allow the other person to help you. Now imagine you are speaking in a situation where no one can help. Perhaps you are giving a presentation or recording yourself. Use a simpler substitute. If you forget purchase, say buy. If you forget residence, say home. If you forget assist, say help. If you forget approximately, say about. If you forget exhausted, say very tired. The best word is not always the most advanced word. The best word is the one that allows the listener to understand you. Create a personal rescue list of 10 simple words that can replace many difficult words. Useful rescue words include thing, person, place, problem, way, reason, result, change, help, important. For example, if you cannot remember method, say way. If you cannot remember location, say place. If you cannot remember individual, say person. If you cannot remember difficulty, say problem. These basic words can carry a surprising amount of meaning. Practice description every day for 5 minutes. This will teach you not to panic when a word disappears. Instead of thinking, I cannot speak because I forgot the word, you will think, I can explain the idea another way. That change gives you control. In the next chapter, we will train the speed of word retrieval through short exercises that force your vocabulary to become active. Chapter 5. Train your brain to retrieve words quickly. Knowing vocabulary is one skill, retrieving it quickly is another. If you want words to come faster during conversation, you must practice bringing them out of memory. Reading a list is not retrieval practice because the words are already in front of you. Repeating after a teacher is useful for pronunciation, but the teacher is still giving you the language. Retrieval practice begins when the answer is hidden and your brain must search for it. Think of physical training. Watching someone lift a weight does not make your muscles stronger. Your body must perform the movement. In the same way, looking at English does not automatically make speaking faster. Your brain must repeatedly produce language without seeing the answer. Let us begin with the category challenge. Choose a category and name as many words as possible in 1 minute. For example, things in the kitchen: plate, cup, spoon, fork, knife, pan, pot, fridge, oven, sink, towel, bottle, basket. Do not stop to create perfect sentences. The purpose is to move quickly through a group of connected words. Other useful categories include jobs, clothes, transport, emotions, weather, furniture, food, health problems, activities, places in a town, things you carry, words related to work, words related to travel, words related to education. After naming the words, choose 5 and use them in sentences. For example, I left the keys beside the sink. This pan is too small. The towel is still wet. We need a larger basket. Please put the bottle in the fridge. The first step activates the vocabulary. The second step connects it to speech. The next exercise is called the 3-word expansion. Choose 3 random words and connect them in a short story. For example, bus, rain, interview. You might say, last Monday I had an important interview. I planned to arrive early, but it started raining heavily. The bus was late, so I had to call the company and explain the situation. The story does not need to be true. The purpose is to make your brain combine vocabulary quickly. Try another group. Phone, restaurant, birthday, possible story. It was my sister's birthday, so we went to a new restaurant. When we arrived, I realized I had left my phone at home. I couldn't take any pictures, but we had a great evening. Use different kinds of words. You can combine an object, a place, and an emotion. Wallet, airport, nervous, or a person, an action, and a problem. Neighbor, borrow, broken. This exercise develops flexibility because you cannot depend on a prepared answer. The next exercise is rapid definition. Choose a word and explain its meaning in one simple sentence. A passport. It is an official document you need when you travel to another country. A habit. It is something you do regularly, often without thinking much about it. A promise. It is a statement that you will definitely do something. A discount. It is a reduction in the normal price. A queue. It is a line of people waiting for something. Do not copy dictionary definitions. Use your own simple English. This skill prepares you to explain words when you forget them and helps you understand vocabulary more deeply. Another exercise is the opposite switch. Say a word, then quickly say its opposite and create a sentence with both early and late. I arrived early, but my friend arrived late. Cheap and expensive. The local cafe is cheap, but the restaurant beside it is expensive. Accept and refuse. She accepted the first offer but refused the second one. Increase and decrease. Prices increased last year, but demand decreased. The opposite switch makes vocabulary easier to organize and retrieve. You can also practice the question chain. Choose one topic and ask yourself 5 connected questions. Topic: weekends. What do I usually do on the weekend? Who do I spend time with? Where do I normally go? What did I do last weekend? What would I like to do next weekend? Answer each question for 20 or 30 seconds. Because the questions are connected, useful vocabulary appears several times in different forms. You might say, I usually stay at home on Saturday morning. Last Saturday, I visited my cousin. Next weekend, I would like to go hiking. Now the words for routines, past actions, and future plans are all active. Another powerful drill is the one-word transformation. Begin with one word and build a complete message around it. Your word is crowded. First sentence, the market was crowded. Add a reason, the market was crowded because people were shopping for the holiday. Add a personal reaction. I felt uncomfortable because it was difficult to move. Add an action. So I bought what I needed and left quickly. You have transformed one word into a connected answer. Try the word improve. My English has improved. My English has improved because I practice speaking every day. I still make mistakes, but I can express my ideas more clearly. My next goal is to improve my listening speed. This exercise teaches you to develop ideas instead of searching for a new topic after every sentence. The next drill is called use it or change it. Choose a word you want to activate. Give yourself 5 seconds to use it in a sentence. If you cannot, replace it with a simpler word and continue. Suppose the target word is recommend. You have 5 seconds. I recommend this book to anyone who enjoys history. Good. Next word, inconvenient. You struggle. Do not remain silent. Replace it. The time was not convenient for me. Or use simpler language. The time did not work well for me. This teaches your brain to keep communication moving instead of becoming trapped by one target word. Another useful exercise is picture speaking. Choose any photograph that contains several details. Look at it for 30 seconds. Then turn it over or close the image and describe what you remember. Perhaps the picture shows a family having a picnic. You might say, there were 4 people sitting on the grass. A red bag was beside them. The children were eating fruit. There were trees in the background, and the weather looked warm. Because the picture is no longer visible, your brain must retrieve the vocabulary. You can make the exercise more difficult by adding interpretation. They looked relaxed. They may have been celebrating something. The parents seem to be preparing lunch. This activates words for objects, actions, positions, appearance, and possibility. The final drill in this chapter is delayed repetition. Speak about a topic for 1 minute. Wait 10 minutes. Then speak about the same topic again without listening to the first recording. The second version will usually be easier. Your brain has already created a path through the topic. For example, speak about a place I would like to visit. In the first version, you may pause often. 10 minutes later, try again. You may remember useful phrases from the first attempt. I have always wanted to visit. The main reason is, I am especially interested in, I would also like to. The second version becomes smoother because the vocabulary is now closer to the surface of your memory. Repeat the topic the next day, but do not memorize a fixed speech. Change some details, add one new reason, remove one example, use a different opening. This keeps the language flexible. Here is a 15-minute retrieval session you can use. For 2 minutes, do a category challenge. For 3 minutes, describe words without naming them. For 3 minutes, answer a question chain. For 3 minutes, create stories from random words. For 2 minutes, practice opposites. For 2 minutes, repeat a topic you spoke about yesterday. This training may feel difficult at first. That difficulty is useful. It means your brain is working to find the language. Do not check the dictionary after every pause. Give yourself time to search. Try a simpler word. Describe the idea. Finish your message first. Afterward, review the words you could not find. Write down only the useful ones. Then use each word in a spoken sentence connected to the original situation. If you were talking about cooking and forgot ingredients, say, I checked the ingredients before I started cooking. I didn't have all the ingredients I needed. The recipe uses simple ingredients. Now the word is connected to the moment when you needed it. This creates a strong memory. In the next chapter, we will organize your vocabulary around real conversations so that the right language is ready before you enter common situations. Chapter 6. Build vocabulary for real situations. Many learners study English in a general way. They learn a little vocabulary about travel, a little grammar about the past, several expressions from a film, and some words from an article. All of this may be useful, but it is not organized around the conversations they actually have. If you want to find words quickly, prepare language for specific situations. Think about the English conversations you are likely to have. You need English for work. You speak with customers. You attend online meetings. You travel. You talk with friends from other countries. You are preparing for an interview. You want to join discussions in class. Each situation has a predictable group of ideas, questions, and phrases. Let us begin with a simple example, introducing yourself. Many learners know basic introduction sentences, but they still go blank because they have never prepared a flexible version. Create an introduction map with 5 parts: who you are, where you are from, or where you live, what you do, what you enjoy, what you are currently working toward. A simple version might be, my name is Daniel, I'm from Brazil, but I currently live in Spain. I work in graphic design. In my free time, I enjoy photography and cycling. At the moment, I'm improving my English because I want to work with international clients. Now create shorter and longer versions. A short version. I'm Daniel. I'm a graphic designer from Brazil, and I'm currently living in Spain. A longer version. I'm Daniel, and I'm originally from Brazil. I moved to Spain 2 years ago for work. I work as a graphic designer, mostly on advertising projects. Outside work, I enjoy photography, especially street photography. I'm studying English because I would like to work with more international companies. You are not memorizing one speech. You are preparing language pieces you can combine according to the situation. Now let us prepare for a restaurant. Possible actions include asking for a table, reading the menu, asking about ingredients, ordering food, requesting a change, reporting a problem, asking for the bill. Useful phrases might include, do you have a table for 2? Could we sit near the window? What do you recommend? Does this contain nuts? I'd like the chicken, please. Could I have it without onions? Excuse me, I think this is not what I ordered. Could we have the bill, please? If you practice these phrases before the situation, you will not need to build every sentence from nothing. Now consider a work meeting. Common communication purposes include starting your point, giving an update, explaining a delay, agreeing, disagreeing, asking a question, suggesting a solution, confirming the next step. You could prepare, I'd like to add something. Here is a quick update. We are slightly behind schedule because I agree with that point. I see it differently. Could you explain that in more detail? One possible solution would be, just to confirm, I will send the report by Thursday. These phrases are not advanced, but they are extremely useful because they match real speaking needs. The next step is to predict questions. If you are preparing for a job interview, do not only study general business vocabulary. Write the questions you are likely to hear. Tell me about yourself. Why are you interested in this position? What are your strengths? Tell me about a difficult problem you solved. Why did you leave your previous job? Where do you see yourself in the future? Then prepare idea notes, not complete memorized answers. For tell me about a difficult problem you solved, your notes may be customer complaint, delivery mistake, stayed calm, checked the order, Contact warehouse. Offer replacement. Customers are satisfied. Now speak from the notes. In my previous job, a customer called because an important order had arrived with the wrong items. I listened carefully and checked the order details. Then I contacted the warehouse and arranged a replacement delivery for the next morning. I also kept the customer informed. The problem was solved quickly, and the customer appreciated the communication. Because you are speaking from ideas, your answer sounds more natural than a memorized paragraph. You can use situation maps for everyday conversations too. Situation, talking about your weekend. Useful areas, where you went, who you were with, what you did, what you enjoyed, what went wrong, what you plan to do next time. Possible language, I spent most of Saturday, I met up with, we decided to. The best part was, the only problem was. Next time, I'd like to. Situation, discussing a film. Useful areas, type of film, basic story, main character, what you liked, what you disliked. Recommendation, possible language, it's a drama about. The story follows, the main character is. What I liked most was, I found the ending. I would recommend it to people who. Situation, visiting a doctor. Useful areas, main problem, when it began, how it feels, what makes it better or worse. Other symptoms, questions about treatment. Possible language, I've had this pain for 3 days. It started on Monday evening. It feels worse when I walk. I also feel tired. Should I continue working? How often should I take this medicine? When you prepare vocabulary by situation, your brain begins to expect what may come next. That expectation reduces pressure. You can create a personal conversation book. Divide it into sections based on your real life. Do not copy a general textbook if the topics are not relevant to you. Your sections might be my work, my studies, my family, my daily routine, my city, my hobbies, my goals, my recent experiences, problems I often need to explain. Questions people often ask me. Under each section, collect complete phrases and short answer structures. For example, under my work, I'm responsible for. A typical day involves. The most challenging part is. What I enjoy most is. I recently worked on. One skill I would like to improve is. Then practice answering questions with different combinations. What do you do? What does a typical day look like? What do you enjoy about your work? What is difficult about your job? Would you like to change careers? The same vocabulary will return naturally, but each answer will have a different purpose. Another useful method is the situation rehearsal. Before entering an English conversation, imagine the first 2 minutes. Suppose you are going to call a hotel. You may need to say, "Hello, I'm calling about a reservation. I booked a room for 2 nights. I'd like to change the arrival date. The reservation is under the name. Could you check whether another room is available?" Say these sentences aloud before making the call. This is not cheating. Professionals prepare before important communication in every language. A speaker prepares for a presentation. A salesperson prepares before meeting a client. A doctor prepares before explaining a difficult procedure. Preparation gives your brain a clear starting point. However, avoid preparing only one exact sentence. Create 2 or 3 ways to express the same purpose. For asking someone to repeat, "Could you say that again? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Would you mind repeating the last part?" For giving an opinion. "I think," "in my view," "the way I see it." For disagreeing. "I'm not sure I agree." "I understand your point, but I see the situation a little differently." This prevents you from depending on one expression. You should also prepare emergency language for unexpected moments. For example, "Let me check that. I need a moment to think. I'm not familiar with that topic. I don't have enough information to answer yet. Could I get back to you later? I may have misunderstood. Could you give me an example?" These phrases help you stay calm when the conversation moves outside your prepared area. Choose one real situation this week. It is ordering coffee, speaking in a meeting, introducing yourself, making a phone call, or talking about your weekend. Create a 1-page situation map. Write 5 likely questions, 10 useful phrases, 5 key words. 2 possible problems, 3 clarification phrases, then rehearse the situation aloud. Do not read the page while speaking. Look at one question, turn the page over, and answer from memory. Record yourself once. Listen only for missing language. Do not judge your accent or every grammar mistake. Ask, which idea was difficult to express? Which word did I need? Which phrase would make this easier next time? Add only those useful items to the map. Your vocabulary will now grow from real communication needs. In the next chapter, we will make your speech even faster by learning language in chunks instead of building sentences word by word. Chapter 7. Think in phrases, not single words. When beginners speak English, they often build sentences one word at a time. They choose the subject, then the verb, then the tense, then an article, then a preposition, then they check the word order. This process is slow because every sentence feels like a new puzzle. More natural speakers rely on chunks of language. A chunk is a group of words that often appears together and carries one useful meaning. Examples include, as far as I know, one of the reasons is, I'm looking forward to, it depends on, I'm not used to. The problem is that, at the same time, there is no need to. Would you mind? Chunks reduce the number of decisions you must make. Consider the sentence, I'm looking forward to seeing you. If you build it one word at a time, you may wonder, should I use look? Should it be look forward? Do I need to? Should the next verb be see or seeing? If you learn the complete chunk, I'm looking forward to, the structure is already prepared. You only add the final information. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm looking forward to meeting your family. I'm looking forward to starting the course. The chunk becomes one speaking unit. This is similar to learning a phone number. You do not always remember 10 separate numbers. You divide them into groups. The groups are easier to hold and produce. Language works in a similar way. Let us examine several important kinds of chunks. The first kind is sentence starters. These help you begin without searching for a complete structure. I think the main issue is, one thing I've noticed is, the reason I mention this is, what surprised me was, the best thing about it was, the difficult part was, if I had to choose, I would. When a question arrives, a useful starter can immediately place you on the right path. Question: what did you enjoy about the event? Answer: the best thing about it was the chance to meet people from different backgrounds. Question: what was difficult about moving? Answer: the difficult part was getting used to a new routine. The second kind is opinion chunks. I strongly believe that, from my point of view, I tend to think that, I'm not convinced that, I can understand why people think, I agree to some extent, but these phrases allow you to express different levels of certainty and agreement. The third kind is time chunks. In the beginning, a few years ago, at that time, soon after that, since then, from time to time, by the end of, over the last few months, time chunks are especially useful for telling stories. For example, a few years ago, I decided to change careers. At that time, I was working in a small office. Soon after that, I began taking online courses. Since then, I have worked in several different roles. The fourth kind is reason and result chunks. One reason for this is, this happened because, that is why, as a result, this led to, because of that, the result was. These help you develop ideas clearly. For example, I started waking up earlier. One reason for this was that I wanted more quiet time before work. As a result, I became more organized during the day. The fifth kind is comparison chunks. Compared with, the main difference is, they have a lot in common. Both of them, while the first option, on the other hand, in contrast, comparison becomes easier because the structure guides your thinking. The sixth kind is uncertainty chunks. I'm not entirely sure. I would need to check. As far as I remember, it seems likely that I could be wrong, but I haven't made up my mind. These are important because real conversation often includes incomplete knowledge. You do not always need a definite answer. The seventh kind is problem-solving chunks. We need to find a way to. One possible solution is, the main difficulty is, what if we? It might be better to. We could try. Another option would be, These chunks are valuable at work, in group discussions, and in everyday planning. How should you learn chunks? Begin by noticing them. When you read or listen to English, do not only collect interesting words, look for useful groups of words. Suppose you hear, I ended up staying at home. Do not only learn ended, learn the chunk, end up doing something. Then create examples. We ended up taking a taxi. She ended up changing her mind. I ended up working late. Notice that the chunk carries a special meaning. The final result was perhaps not the original plan. Suppose you hear, I'm having trouble understanding him. Collect, have trouble doing something. Then say, I'm having trouble sleeping. She had trouble finding the address. We had trouble connecting to the internet. The second step is variation. Use the same chunk with different endings. Chunk. One of the biggest challenges is variations. One of the biggest challenges is staying consistent. One of the biggest challenges is finding enough time. One of the biggest challenges is speaking under pressure. One of the biggest challenges is understanding different accents. This teaches your brain to keep the structure while changing the message. The third step is situation matching. Ask where you could use the chunk. Chunk. Would you mind? Possible situations. Asking someone to close a window. Requesting help at work. Asking a neighbor to reduce noise. Asking someone to repeat information. Examples. Would you mind closing the window? Would you mind checking this document? Would you mind speaking a little more quietly? Would you mind repeating the address? The fourth step is speaking from a prompt. Write only the beginning of the chunk. What I find difficult is, then complete it aloud in 5 different ways. What I find difficult is remembering new names. What I find difficult is staying focused for a long time. What I find difficult is explaining technical ideas in simple language. What I find difficult is making quick decisions. What I find difficult is understanding people on the phone. The fifth step is combining chunks. Choose 3 and create a connected answer. 4. Example. In my opinion, one reason is, on the other hand, question. Is working from home better than working in an office? Answer. In my opinion, working from home can be more comfortable. One reason is that you do not waste time traveling. On the other hand, some people find it difficult to stay focused when they are alone. The chunks create the frame. Your vocabulary fills the frame. You should be careful not to memorize long, unnatural speeches. A chunk is flexible. A memorized paragraph is fixed. If someone asks a slightly different question, a memorized paragraph may become useless. But a flexible chunk can move into many conversations. For example, the chunk, the main reason is, works for hundreds of topics. The main reason I moved was. The main reason I chose this course was. The main reason people struggle is. The main reason I disagree is. The main reason we were late was. Focus on high-use chunks. You do not need expressions that sound literary or unusually formal. Choose phrases that help you perform common speaking actions. A practical chunk notebook can have 4 sections: starting, developing, clarifying, finishing. Under starting, I would say, the first thing that comes to mind is, my experience has been. Under developing, another example is, this is especially true when, a related point is. Under clarifying, to be more specific, what I'm trying to say is, let me give you an example. Under finishing, so overall, that's why I think, in the end, the main point is, choose 3 chunks from each section and use them during the week. Do not try to force all of them into one conversation. Your goal is to become comfortable enough that they appear when useful. Here is a 10-minute chunk exercise. Choose one question. For example, what makes a good friend? First, answer using a starter. I think one of the most important qualities is reliability. Next, develop. What I mean is, a good friend should be someone you can depend on. Add an example. For example, if you are having a difficult time, they should be willing to listen. Add a contrast. On the other hand, friendship should not be completely one-sided. Finish. So overall, I think trust and mutual support are essential. Now answer the same question again using different chunks. To me, a good friend is someone who is honest and supportive. One reason this matters is that friendship becomes difficult when people cannot speak openly. At the same time, honesty should be expressed with kindness. In the end, a strong friendship needs both truth and respect. The ideas are similar, but the language path is different. This builds flexibility rather than memorization. After enough practice, you will stop searching for every separate word. Complete phrases will arrive together. Instead of thinking, I need more time to decide, your brain will retrieve, I need a little more time to think about it. Instead of building, I do not completely agree, you will retrieve, I'm not sure I completely agree with that. This is how speech becomes faster without rushing. In the next chapter, we will take these chunks and ideas into timed speaking practice so that you can produce them under real conversational pressure. Chapter 8. Build speed without speaking too fast. Many learners misunderstand speaking speed. They believe that fluent English means saying words very quickly, so they try to push their mouth faster than their mind can organize ideas. The result is often unclear pronunciation, unfinished sentences, and more panic. Real speaking speed comes from preparation, automatic language patterns, and clear thinking. You do not need to rush. You need to reduce unnecessary pauses. A useful way to train this is the speaking ladder. You speak about the same topic several times, but each round has a different time limit. Begin with 2 minutes, then repeat the topic in 90 seconds, then repeat it in 60 seconds. Finally, give a 30-second version. Let us use the topic. A useful change I made in my daily routine. In the 2-minute version, you can explain what the change was, why did you make it, what was difficult, how it affected you, whether you would recommend it. You might say, several months ago I started planning my next day before going to bed. I made this change because I often woke up without knowing which task to begin first. I would check messages, move from one activity to another, and lose a lot of time. Now I write down the 3 most important tasks for the next day. At first, I sometimes forgot to do it, so I placed a notebook beside my bed. After a few weeks, it became part of my routine. The main benefit is that I begin the morning with a clear direction. I still change the plan when necessary, but I no longer waste as much time deciding what to do. I would recommend this habit to anyone who feels disorganized in the morning. Now give the 90-second version. Remove less important detail. A few months ago, I started planning my day before going to bed. I made this change because I often wasted time in the morning deciding what to do first. Now I write down my 3 most important tasks for the next day. At first, I sometimes forgot, but keeping a notebook beside my bed helped me make it a habit. Since I started doing this, my mornings have become more organized. I still change the plan when needed, but I begin the day with clearer priorities. Now the 60-second version. One useful change I made was planning my day the night before. I used to waste time every morning because I did not know which task to start. Now I write down my 3 main priorities before going to bed. This helps me begin work more quickly and stay focused. It was difficult to remember at first, but after a few weeks it became a habit. Finally, the 30-second version. I started planning my day before going to bed. I write down my 3 most important tasks for the next morning. This simple habit helps me avoid wasting time and gives me a clear place to begin. It took a few weeks to become consistent, but now my mornings feel much more organized. The speaking ladder forces you to identify the main message. It also makes vocabulary more available because you use the same useful words several times. Planning, tasks, priorities, morning, focused, organized, habit, consistent. However, you are not repeating an identical script. You are making decisions each time. Another timed exercise is the 5-second start. Ask yourself a question and begin speaking within 5 seconds. You do not need a brilliant opening. Begin with a simple frame. Question: what is something you would like to learn? Within 5 seconds, I would like to learn how to play the piano. Then continue. The main reason is that I have always enjoyed music. I also think it would be relaxing to practice after work. The 5-second rule prevents you from planning an entire answer silently. If you wait too long, your mind may create pressure. It starts searching for the best introduction, the best vocabulary, and the correct grammar. A simple first sentence gives the rest of the answer somewhere to go. Another speed exercise is sentence continuation. Begin with an unfinished sentence and complete it immediately. One thing I wish I had known earlier is, a place I would never get tired of visiting is, the last time I felt proud of myself was. A skill that has become more important is, one problem people often ignore is, complete the sentence, then explain your answer for 30 seconds. For example, one thing I wish I had known earlier is that progress does not always feel exciting. Sometimes improvement happens slowly, and you only notice it after several months. If I had understood that earlier, I would have worried less when learning new skills. The sentence beginning gives you direction, but the explanation remains spontaneous. You can also train with changing conditions. Speak about a simple topic, but add one unexpected detail halfway through. Topic. Describe your ideal holiday. You begin. My ideal holiday would be somewhere near the sea. I would like to stay in a quiet town. Then add the condition. You cannot use a phone or the internet. Continue. That might actually make the trip more peaceful. I would bring several books and spend more time walking. New condition. It rains every day. Continue. If it rained every day, I would choose a place with museums, cafes, and indoor activities. This exercise prepares you for real conversations where people ask follow-up questions and change the direction. Another important skill is answer expansion. Many learners give very short answers because they are afraid of losing control. Question: do you enjoy cooking? Answer: yes, I do. The answer is correct, but the conversation may stop. Use a three-part expansion. Answer, reason, example. Yes, I do. I find cooking relaxing after a busy day. For example, at the weekend I often try a new recipe. Question: would you like to live abroad? Answer: yes, I would. I think living abroad would help me understand another culture more deeply. I would especially like to spend a year in a country where I could use English every day. Question: do you prefer books or films? Answer: I usually prefer books because they give more detail about the character's thoughts. For example, when I read a novel, I often understand the motivation behind a decision more clearly than I do in the film version. The answer reason example structure creates natural length without requiring complex language. You can also use the past, present, future structure. Question: how has technology changed the way you work? Past: in the past, most of our communication happened through long meetings and email. Present: now we use shared online tools so everyone can see updates immediately. Future: I think these tools will become even more automatic in the future. This structure gives your brain a clear route through the answer. Another route is problem, action, result. Question: tell me about a challenge you faced. Problem: our team had to finish a project in a very short time. Action: we divided the work into smaller tasks and held a short meeting every morning. Result: we completed the project on time and avoided several communication problems. These speaking structures are not scripts, they are thinking tools. When your brain knows the shape of the answer, it can search for vocabulary more efficiently. You can now combine timed speaking with recording. Choose one question and record a 1-minute answer. Listen once and focus only on pauses. Do not count every small hesitation. Natural speech includes pauses. Notice the long pauses where your message stopped. Ask why each pause happened. Did you lack an idea? Did you forget a word? Were you searching for grammar? Were you trying to create a perfect sentence? Then repeat the answer with one change. If you lack an idea, use a structure such as a reason example. If you forgot a word, prepare a simple substitute. If grammar stops you, simplify the sentence. If perfectionism stops you, choose the first clear expression that comes. For example, perhaps you said, the city has many, I don't know, opportunities for entertainment. You could simplify, there are many things to do in the city. That sentence is easy, natural, and clear. Speed often improves when you remove unnecessary difficulty. You can also practice controlled pausing. A pause is not always a problem. A well-placed pause can make you sound thoughtful. Compare these two speakers. Speaker 1. I think the main reason is that people do not have enough time. The words are fast but difficult to follow. Speaker 2. I think the main reason is that people do not have enough time. The second speaker pauses naturally between ideas. Practice speaking in meaning groups. I think the main reason is that people do not have enough time. After I finished work, I went straight home. Although the course was difficult, I learned a great deal. From my point of view, the second option is more practical. These pauses give your brain time to prepare the next group of words. Your daily speed practice can take 12 minutes. For 3 minutes, answer questions using the 5-second start. For 4 minutes, use the speaking ladder on one topic. For 3 minutes, practice answer reason example. For 2 minutes, listen to one recording and repeat the weakest section. Do not measure success by the number of words you say per minute. Measure how quickly you begin, how often you finish your sentences, how clearly your ideas connect, how calmly you recover from a missing word, how little you depend on translation. In the next chapter, we will focus on the emotional side of going blank. You will learn how to keep access to your English when another person is waiting for you to speak. Chapter 9. Stay calm when someone is waiting for your answer. You may speak comfortably when you are alone, but freeze when another person enters the conversation. This happens because a real listener changes the emotional situation. When you practice alone, there is no social risk. You can restart, pause, check a word, or remain silent. In conversation, another person is watching your face and waiting for a response. Even a friendly listener can create pressure. The goal is not to remove all nervousness. The goal is to stop nervousness from controlling your attention. The first step is to change what you focus on. When you go blank, you may begin thinking, how do I sound? Am I taking too long? Did I make a mistake? Does this person think I am stupid? These thoughts take attention away from the conversation. Move your attention back to the message. Ask yourself, what is this person trying to understand? What is the one main idea I want to communicate? What simple sentence can I say first? Suppose someone asks, what do you think about working 4 days a week? Your mind may search for a complete, intelligent answer. Instead, choose one basic position. I think it could be a good idea. Now add one reason. People might be more focused if they have more time to rest. You can add a different point later. The first job is to enter the conversation. The second step is to allow silence. A short pause often feels much longer to the speaker than to the listener. 1 or 2 seconds of silence is normal. People pause in every language when they are thinking. You can breathe, look thoughtful, and begin calmly. A pause becomes uncomfortable mainly when you panic about the pause. Try this exercise. Ask yourself, what is one habit you would like to change? Wait for 2 full seconds before answering. Then say, one habit I would like to change is checking my phone too often. The silence did not damage the answer. It gave you time. The third step is to use a physical reset. When people become nervous, they often hold their breath, tighten their jaw, raise their shoulders, and speak with very little air. This physical tension can make word retrieval more difficult because your attention becomes trapped in the feeling of panic. Before answering, breathe out slowly. You do not need a dramatic breathing exercise. Simply release the air you are holding. Relax your shoulders. Allow your mouth to open naturally. Then begin with a short sentence. This small reset tells your body that the situation is safe. The fourth step is to listen until the question is finished. Some learners begin planning their answer while the other person is still speaking. They catch the first half of the question, stop listening, and begin translating possible responses. Then they miss an important detail. For example, the person asks, do you think online learning is useful for beginners or is it better for advanced students? You hear, do you think online learning is useful? You begin preparing a general answer about online learning. You miss the comparison between beginners and advanced students. When it is your turn, you are not sure what to answer. Train yourself to stay with the speaker until the end. Listen for the question word. Who? What? When? Where? Why? How? Listen for the main topic. Listen for any comparison, condition, or time reference. Then take a moment to respond. You can confirm your understanding. Are you asking whether online learning is more suitable for beginners or advanced students? This gives you thinking time and prevents an irrelevant answer. The fifth step is to stop treating every conversation like a test. In a test, there may be one correct answer. In a conversation, the goal is shared understanding. The other person is not usually counting your grammar mistakes. They are trying to understand your meaning and decide how to respond. You are allowed to ask questions, correct yourself, use simple words, change your sentence, admit that you do not know something, pause, request an example, say that you need time to think. These are normal communication actions. The sixth step is to practice small risks. Do not wait until you feel completely confident before speaking. Confidence usually grows after repeated successful experiences. Begin with low-pressure interactions. Ask a simple question in English, make a short comment, order something, join an online conversation for 2 minutes. Send a short voice message. Speak to a classmate before the lesson begins. The purpose is not to have a perfect conversation. The purpose is to teach your nervous system. I can enter an English conversation and survive the uncertainty. After each interaction, do not ask only, "What mistakes did I make?" Also ask, "Did the person understand me? Did I continue after a pause? Did I find another way to explain a word? Did I ask for clarification? Did I complete the interaction?" These are signs of real speaking ability. The seventh step is to prepare a recovery routine. When your mind goes blank, follow the same 3 stages. Stage 1. Pause and breathe out. Stage 2. Say a bridge phrase. Stage 3. Choose one simple message. For example, question, "What qualities are important in a manager?" You go blank, pause. That's an interesting question. Choose one message. I think clear communication is very important. Continue. Employees need to understand what is expected and feel comfortable asking questions. The recovery routine prevents panic from becoming a complete shutdown. Let us practice with difficult questions. Question 1. What is something people often misunderstand about you? Possible recovery. I've never really thought about that. I suppose some people think I'm quiet because I'm unfriendly, but usually I'm just taking time to feel comfortable. Question 2. Would you choose a high salary or a job you enjoy? Possible recovery. That would be a difficult decision. I think I would choose a job I enjoy, as long as the salary was enough for my basic needs. Question 3. What is one opinion you have changed in recent years? Possible recovery. Let me think. I used to believe that being busy always meant being productive. Now I think people can be very busy while avoiding their most important work. Question 4. What would you do if you had to start your career again? Possible recovery. I'm not completely sure, but I would probably spend more time developing practical skills before applying for jobs. The answers are clear because they begin with manageable language. Another emotional challenge is speaking with a fast or highly fluent person. You may compare your English with theirs and feel rushed. Remember that you are allowed to control the pace. Say, "Could you slow down a little? Could we take that one point at a time? I want to make sure I understand. Let me finish this thought. Give me a moment to explain." These phrases protect your place in the conversation. You do not need to match another person's speed. You need enough space to communicate clearly. You should also accept that some conversations will not go well. You may forget basic words. You may misunderstand the question. You may leave the conversation and suddenly remember the perfect answer. This happens in every language. Do not turn one difficult moment into a permanent judgment about your ability. Instead, review the situation as useful information. What was the topic? Which word was missing? Which sentence became too complicated? Which phrase could help next time? Then practice the exact moment again. Suppose someone asks, "What do you like about your neighborhood?" You froze because you did not remember convenient. Later practice. "My neighborhood is convenient because there are shops, buses, and a pharmacy nearby." It is convenient to live close to work. The location is very convenient. Now the difficult moment has improved your active vocabulary. The final emotional skill is self-permission. Give yourself permission to sound like a learner. You may have an accent. You may use simple grammar. You may take longer to answer. You may need help finding a word. None of these things prevents meaningful communication. Your English does not need to be invisible. You do not need to hide the fact that you are learning. When you stop trying to prove that your English is perfect, your attention becomes free to communicate. That is when many words begin to return. In the final chapter, we will combine everything into a practical 30-day system that can transform the way you access English during real conversations. Chapter 10. The 30-day word retrieval system. You now understand why your mind goes blank. You know how to build connected vocabulary, use bridge phrases, describe missing words, practice retrieval, prepare for real situations, speak in chunks, develop speed, and manage pressure. The final step is consistency. A skill becomes reliable when you practice it in a clear sequence over time. This 30-day system is designed to move vocabulary from recognition to real speaking. You do not need to study for several hours each day. 25 to 30 minutes of focused practice is enough. The system has 4 weekly stages. Week 1 is activation. Week 2 is flexibility. Week 3 is speed. Week 4 is real communication. Let us begin with Week 1. WDEK1. Activate words you already know. During the first 7 days, do not focus on collecting large amounts of new vocabulary. Your goal is to wake up useful words that are already inside your passive memory. Each day, choose one familiar topic. Day 1, your daily routine. Day 2, your home. Day 3, your work or studies. Day 4, food and cooking. Day 5, transport and travel. Day 6, health and exercise. Day 7, free time and entertainment. For each topic, complete 4 tasks. Task 1, write 20 words you already know. For the topic of daily routine, you may write alarm, wake up, shower, breakfast. Commute, start work, break, lunch, finish, exercise, dinner, relax, read, prepare, sleep. Task 2, group the words morning, workday, evening. This gives the vocabulary a clear structure. Task 3, create 10 useful phrases. Turn off the alarm, get ready for work. Have a quick breakfast, leave the house, take a short break, finish work, prepare dinner, go for a walk, plan the next day, go to bed. Task 4, speak for 2 minutes about the topic. Do not read a prepared paragraph. Use the words and phrases as support, then turn the page over. You might say, I usually wake up at 7. The first thing I do is turn off my alarm and open the window. After that, I take a shower and prepare a quick breakfast. I normally leave the house at about 8. When you finish, write down 3 words you wanted but could not find. These missing words become your personal vocabulary list. On the next day, review yesterday's 3 words before beginning the new topic. Use each one in 2 spoken sentences. By the end of week 1, you will have activated vocabulary from 7 important areas of life. You will also have a list of words connected to genuine speaking needs. WEK2, develop flexibility. During week 2, you will practice expressing the same idea in more than one way. This is important because going blank often happens when you depend on one exact word or sentence. Each day, choose 5 simple messages. For example, I was very tired. The place was crowded. I disagree. I don't understand. The plan changed. Now express each message in 3 different ways. I was very tired. I felt exhausted. I had almost no energy. I was ready to fall asleep. The place was crowded. There were people everywhere. It was extremely busy. There was hardly any space to move. I disagree. I don't see it that way. I have a different opinion. I'm not sure I agree with that. I don't understand. I'm not sure what you mean. I didn't follow the last part. Could you explain that again? The plan changed. We decided to do something different. The original plan did not happen. We had to make a new arrangement. You are not trying to find perfect synonyms. You are training your ability to move around an idea. The next task is object description. Choose 3 objects each day and describe them without naming them. Day 8 might include scissors, pillow, calendar. Day 9, suitcase, mirror, kettle. Day 10, keyboard, wallet, curtain. Use function, appearance, location, and category. Then practice abstract ideas: success, patience, privacy, advice, progress, responsibility. Explain each in simple English. For example, progress means moving forward or becoming better over time. Privacy means having space or information that other people cannot enter or see without permission. The third activity is the substitution drill. Speak for 1 minute on a topic. Whenever you cannot remember a word, replace it immediately with simpler language. Do not stop the recording. Topic: a difficult journey. You might say, "We reached the airport, but the machine that checks your bags was not working." Perhaps you forgot scanner. Continue anyway. Then the person at the desk told us that our flight would leave 2 hours later than planned. Perhaps you forgot delayed. The meaning is still clear. After the recording, identify the missing words and learn them through the complete sentence. The baggage scanner was not working. Our flight was delayed by 2 hours. This method connects new languages to a real communication gap. By the end of week 2, you should feel less dependent on one perfect expression. Week 3. Build retrieval speed. In week 3, the goal is faster access. You will use time limits, but you will not rush your pronunciation. Begin each practice session with the 5-second start. Answer 5 questions. Begin every answer within 5 seconds. Possible questions. What makes a day productive? What is one skill everyone should learn? Do you prefer planning or being spontaneous? What makes a place feel comfortable? What is one small decision that improved your life? Use a simple opening. I think, for me, one thing that comes to mind is, I would probably say, then continue for 30 seconds. Next, complete a category challenge. Choose 2 categories and name as many words as possible in 60 seconds. Afterward, create sentences with 5 of the words. Next, use the speaking ladder. Choose one topic and speak for 2 minutes, 90 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Possible topics. A useful piece of advice. A mistake that taught me something. A place I know well. A person who influenced me. A change I would make in my city. A skill I learned slowly. A problem technology can solve. Next, practice chunk completion. Choose 5 beginnings. The main reason is, one thing I've noticed is, what I find difficult is. A good example is, in the future I would like to complete each beginning 5 times. For example, the main reason I study English is, the main reason I changed my routine is, the main reason this problem continues is, the main reason I enjoyed the trip is, the main reason I chose this option is. This makes the structure automatic while keeping the content flexible. Finish each session with delayed repetition. Choose one answer from earlier in the day and repeat it without listening to the original version. Notice which words arrive more quickly. By the end of week 3, you may not feel dramatically faster in every situation. That is normal. Look for smaller changes. You begin answers more easily. You complete more sentences. You recover more quickly. You use fewer long silences. You choose simpler words without feeling ashamed. These are signs that retrieval is improving. Week 4. Move into real communication. The final week connects practice with real interaction. Choose one situation for each day. Day 22. Introduce yourself to someone. Day 23. Ask for information. Day 24. Explain a small problem. Day 25. Give an opinion. Day 26. Tell a short story. Day 27. Make a suggestion. Day 28. Ask follow-up questions. Day 29. Join a longer conversation. Day 30. Review and repeat your weakest situation. You can practice with a teacher, classmate, language partner, friend, online group, or voice conversation tool. Before each interaction, prepare a small situation map. Write 3 likely questions, 5 useful chunks, 3 keywords, 1 clarification phrase, 1 recovery phrase. For example, imagine you will talk about travel. Likely questions: where did you go? What did you enjoy? Would you visit again? Useful chunks: last year I had the chance to. One thing I really enjoyed was. What surprised me was. The only difficulty was. I would definitely go back because. Keywords: accommodation, local food, crowded, peaceful. I recommend it. Clarification phrase: do you mean the journey or the place itself? Recovery phrase: I can't remember the exact word, but it was a kind of, after the interaction. Complete a short review. What did I communicate successfully? Where did I pause for too long? Which word was missing? Did I use a bridge phrase? Did I describe a word instead of stopping? What will I practice before the next conversation? Keep the review practical. Do not write, "My English was terrible." That statement does not tell you what to improve. Write, "I could not explain why I disliked the hotel." Then create the missing language. The room was noisy because it faced a busy street. The bathroom was not clean. The staff were polite, but the service was slow. Now you have something useful to practice. On day 29, try to have a conversation lasting at least 10 minutes. Do not prepare every topic. Prepare only your opening and 2 possible subjects. Your aim is to use all the recovery skills naturally. Begin with a question. Listen fully. Use a bridge phrase. Give an answer with a reason or example. Ask a follow-up question. Describe a word if necessary. Correct yourself without restarting everything. Allow short pauses. Stay focused on meaning. On day 30, return to a topic that caused difficulty earlier in the month. Perhaps it was describing your work, giving an opinion, or telling a past experience. Record yourself answering the same question you answered during week 1. Compare the 2 recordings. Do not expect perfection. Listen for concrete differences. Did you begin sooner? Did you speak for longer? Were your ideas more connected? Did you use complete phrases? Did you recover from missing words? Did you sound calmer? Did you rely less on translation? You may be surprised by changes that were too gradual to notice each day. After 30 days, continue with a weekly maintenance system. 3 days a week, practice for 20 minutes. Day 1. Vocabulary activation. Review one situation and speak about it. Day 2. Retrieval speed. Use category challenges, sentence starters, and timed answers. Day 3. Real conversation. Speak with another person or record a longer spontaneous response. Add new words only when they are useful for ideas you genuinely want to express. This protects you from an endless vocabulary collection. You should also create a words I needed list rather than a words I found list. A words I found list may contain interesting vocabulary from books and videos, but you may never use it. A words I needed list comes directly from your speaking. Perhaps you tried to explain that a room did not have enough light. You needed the word dim. Perhaps you described someone who changes plans often. You needed unreliable. Perhaps you discussed a decision that could not be changed. You needed final. These words are valuable because your brain already has a place for them. For every word on the list, record 4 things: the situation, the sentence you tried to say, the missing word or phrase. 2 new examples. Example, situation, describing a hotel. Sentence I tried to say, the room was not dark, but it did not have enough light. Useful word, dim. Examples, the room was quite dim. The light was too dim for reading. This type of vocabulary is easier to remember because it solves a real problem. Finally, create a personal standard for success. Success is not speaking without pauses. Success is continuing after a pause. Success is not knowing every word. Success is finding another way to express the meaning. Success is not using advanced vocabulary in every sentence. Success is choosing words that are clear and available. Success is not sounding exactly like another speaker. Success is becoming more able to communicate as yourself. The moment you understand this, going blank becomes less frightening. A missing word is no longer a wall. It is only a small obstacle. You can pause. You can use a bridge. You can choose a simpler word. You can explain the meaning. You can ask for help. You can correct yourself. You can continue. That is the real skill you have been building throughout this class. The right English word will not always appear instantly, and that is completely normal. Fluent communication does not depend on perfect memory. It depends on having more than one way to express your meaning. Organize vocabulary around real situations. Learn useful phrases instead of isolated words. Practice retrieving language without looking at the answer. Describe missing words. Begin with simple sentences and give yourself permission to pause. The next time your mind goes blank, do not end the conversation. Breathe, use a bridge phrase, and continue with the clearest words you have. Every time you recover successfully, your brain learns that speaking English is not a test you must fear. It is a skill you can build, one real conversation at a time.